Most people confuse being alive with being awake, but there is a vast difference between breathing air and truly seeing the world. Have you ever had the feeling that life is somehow hazy? Not in a way that you can easily point to, not like being tired or distracted. It's something deeper than that. A subtle fog beneath the surface of your everyday routines. You get up, you go to work, you speak, you listen, you smile when expected. You say you're fine when you're not sure if that's even true. The world applauds your normalcy, and yet, somewhere beneath the skin of your life, something feels off. This is not just your experience. Carl Jung believed this was the condition of nearly everyone. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Carl Jung, the invisible world that rules you. Jung devoted much of his life to the idea that there are parts of ourselves we don't see, but which guide us more than we realize. He called this the unconscious. But this wasn't just a dark cave of repressed memories or emotions. It was an entire world, one that shapes your thoughts, behaviors, and dreams without asking for your permission. Imagine you're in a dream. In that dream, you go about your day. You have conversations. You feel joy or anxiety. Everything feels real until something strange happens. A light flickers the wrong way. A person speaks without moving their mouth, and suddenly you realize, I'm dreaming. This is called lucid dreaming. And Jung believed that real life, our waking life, is often not so different. Most people never experience this realization. They never become lucid in the dream of their own mind. They follow habits without knowing why. They adopt opinions, fears, and desires that were never really their own. They wear masks, social roles, expectations, personas, and forget they're wearing them. To Jung, the tragedy of modern life was not suffering. It was unconsciousness. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. One of Jung's key ideas is the persona. It's the face we show to the world, the role we play to be accepted, liked, understood. The persona isn't necessarily false. It serves a function. You might act one way around your boss, another way around your friends, and still another around your parents. But problems begin when we forget that it's a mask. Over time, the role becomes the reality. We forget what we actually feel. We stop noticing our real desires. We live as the persona and mistake it for the self. Imagine wearing a mask so long that when you take it off, you no longer recognize your own face. That, Jung believed, is the condition of modern man. The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. Beneath the persona and beyond the mask lies something older. Jung called these inner forms archetypes, primordial images, instincts, and patterns of behavior that live within all of us. The mother, the warrior, the trickster, the orphan, the lover, the wise old man, the shadow. These are not just characters in stories. They are structures of the psyche, and without realizing it, we act them out. You might find yourself stuck in a loop of self-sabotage, always drawn to chaos. That's not just bad luck. You might be acting out the trickster. Or maybe you feel the need to take care of everyone, even to your own detriment, living out the mother archetype. The unconscious is not silent. It speaks in symbols, dreams, and behaviors. It pulls the strings behind the stage of your life. To Jung, being awake meant becoming aware of these hidden forces, to see your patterns, to watch your reactions, to recognize when you are not acting freely, but merely repeating a script you didn't write. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. There's a strange irony to the modern world. We live in the most connected time in human history, and yet so many of us feel isolated. We have access to limitless information, and yet we struggle to find meaning. We are surrounded by stimulation, movement, novelty, but underneath it all, there's a dullness, a kind of psychological sleep. Carl Jung saw it coming. He believed that modern life, for all its progress, had one devastating flaw. It encouraged people to look everywhere, except within. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside, awakens. Let me tell you a story. A man named David works in a high-rise office in the city. He's reliable, responsible. He's done everything he was supposed to do: college, career, marriage. But lately he feels numb, not sad, not depressed, just disconnected. One night, David has a dream. He's wandering through a forest, and he hears a voice calling his name from deep within a cave. He enters. Inside is a mirror, and when he looks into it, he doesn't see his reflection. He sees a younger version of himself, crying. David wakes up disturbed. He shrugs it off, gets ready, goes to work. The dream fades. But what Jung would say is this: that dream was not just a random flicker of the brain. It was the unconscious knocking on the door. It was trying to wake David up. Because even though David looks awake, he's sleepwalking through life, living a dream of what he should be, not who he truly is. You may not have had a dream like David's, but maybe you felt a similar quiet ache, a sense that something's missing, even when nothing is wrong. That might be the unconscious calling. That might be you, trying to wake yourself up. In Jung's time, the distractions were newspapers, radio, and the rising noise of mass society. Today it's endless: social media, notifications, news cycles, marketing, constant entertainment. We carry the entire world in our pockets. We are flooded every day with voices that tell us who we should be, what we should want, what to fear, what to chase, and who to become. But amidst all this noise, something goes unheard. The quiet voice within you, the one that doesn't shout, the one that can't be liked, shared, or followed. The voice of the self. Jung believed that we are in danger, not because we lack resources or intelligence, but because we are drowning in distractions that keep us from noticing our inner world. Man cannot stand a meaningless life. Jung, we all begin our lives as individuals, but from an early age, we're trained to adapt, be polite, fit in, don't stand out too much, follow the rules, stay on the path, and slowly, piece by piece, we begin to forget who we were before the world told us who to be. We start trading authenticity for acceptance. We don't even realize it's happening, because everyone else is doing it too. We become like actors in a play, each playing a role that no one questions, each afraid to stop performing, in case the others notice and turn away. This is what Jung called the collective dream. It's not one person's illusion, it's society's shared sleep. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Here's something they don't tell you about waking up. It can be a very lonely experience. When you begin to question the dream, when you step back from the roles you've been playing, you might feel different, disoriented, even afraid. You may no longer find joy in the things that once distracted you. You may feel less normal, less connected to others, because most people around you are still asleep. Jung believed that this loneliness is part of the process. To wake up is to leave the crowd and begin the inward journey, not to escape the world, but to finally learn how to live in it with open eyes. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman named Helen. She was known for her smile, at work, with friends, at family gatherings, always cheerful, always composed. But when she was alone, she would sit in silence for hours, unable to feel anything at all. She didn't know why. On the outside, her life looked perfect. Inside, she felt like a ghost. One night, she had a dream. She was walking through a crowded shopping mall where everyone was wearing masks. They were laughing, shopping, talking, but their faces were hollow. She tried to take off her own mask, but it was stuck to her skin. When she finally ripped it off, everyone around her froze and stared. Their masks began to crack. One by one, they fell apart into dust. She woke up crying. That dream was not just metaphor. It was her unconscious telling her the truth. You've been playing a role for so long, you've forgotten who you really are. Jung believed that these dreams are the psyche's attempt to break through the illusion, to whisper, you're not awake yet, but you can be. Have you ever wanted something only to realize, once you had it, that it didn't bring the fulfillment you expected? A certain career, a lifestyle, a relationship, a goal. You reached it, but it felt hollow. This is another symptom of the collective dream. Much of what we chase in life is not born from our inner self, but from the values and images projected by society. We're told success looks like this, happiness looks like that, be more like him, be less like her. This is the dream you should be dreaming, and we believe it. Until one day, we stop and wonder, what if the dream I've been chasing was never really mine? Jung warned against identifying too deeply with societal values, because they often conflict with the deeper, more ancient wisdom of the self. True meaning does not come from chasing the collective dream. It comes from listening to the quiet, mysterious voice that calls you back to who you are. Jung said the world is a mirror for the soul. Everything you react to, everything you fear, everything you desire, it all reflects something within you. But when you're asleep, you don't recognize the reflection. You think the problem is out there. You think the answers are out there. You think peace, purpose, and clarity will come from more stuff, more noise, more doing. But the mirror can only show you what's inside. And if the inside is unclear, so will be your world. Your perception of the world is a reflection of your state of consciousness. So how do you wake up? Jung said the first step is to stop running from yourself, to stop believing the dream that society sold you, to be willing to look inward, even if what you find there scares you. This is not the easy path, but it is the real one. And once you begin to walk it, the world begins to look different. Not because the world changed, but because you are no longer dreaming. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Carl Jung. We've talked about the dream most people live in, the masks they wear, the distractions they chase. But beneath all of that, beneath the roles, the noise, the culture, the persona, lies something far more ancient, more personal, and often more frightening. Jung called it the shadow, and he believed, until you face it, you will never be truly awake. The shadow is everything you refuse to see in yourself. It's the side of you you've rejected, the anger you pretend you don't have, the envy you deny, the weakness you mock in others, but secretly fear in yourself, the memories you've buried, the desires you've silenced, the fears you pretend are not there. It is not evil, it is not wrong, but it is uncomfortable. So we lock it away, we exile it to the basement of our mind, and we pretend it doesn't exist, but it does. It's always there, lurking in the unconscious, a forgotten twin, a quiet echo, a shadow that follows you, even in your sleep. You are not what has happened to you, you are what you choose to become. You don't need to see your shadow to be affected by it. It shows up in strange ways, in the person you irrationally hate, even though they've done nothing to you, in the recurring arguments you always seem to find yourself in the dreams that disturb you, in the addictions that numb you, in the people you're drawn to, in the habits that sabotage your own happiness. That's the shadow, speaking through behavior. You might say, I don't know why I said that. That's not like me. I didn't mean to, it just came out. Yes, because something deeper is coming out, something you've buried. And the longer you deny it, the more power it gains. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Facing the shadow requires courage, not the kind of courage that wins medals, but the kind that looks inward when it's easier to look away. Most people won't do it, because when you first turn inward you don't find light. You find fear, regret, pain, rage. You find the parts of yourself you were told to hide as a child, the emotions you were told were bad, the instincts that made others uncomfortable, the truth that disrupts your social mask. And so we run, we project, we see in others what we can't admit in ourselves. Jung said this is the most common trick of the shadow. We see it in the world, instead of ourselves. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. There was a man named Gregory. He prided himself on strength, discipline, toughness. He couldn't stand people who were emotional. He called them weak, lazy, pathetic. But what Gregory didn't know was that his hatred of weakness was a reflection of his own shadow. As a child, he had been sensitive, gentle, easily overwhelmed, but his father mocked him, "Man up," he said. "Don't cry. Be strong." So Gregory learned to hide his softness, to bury it, to kill it. And the more he buried it, the more he hated seeing it in others. He wasn't judging them. He was judging the version of himself he was never allowed to be. This is the shadow at work. And Jung believed the parts of ourselves we reject will return, not to harm us, but to be healed. Jung never said you should destroy the shadow. Quite the opposite. He believed the shadow is not just a problem. It is a source of power. The same rage you repress could become energy. The same fear you deny could become wisdom. The same desire you hide could become creativity. When you integrate your shadow, when you bring it into consciousness, you become whole. And for Jung, this is the path to awakening. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Imagine a life where you are no longer at war with yourself, where you don't need to wear a mask, where your emotions don't control you because you've made peace with them. Imagine being free from compulsive reactions, free from judgment, free from the endless loops of shame, guilt, and fear. This is not fantasy. It is the reward for doing the inner work. It is the reward for facing the shadow. If you want to begin this journey, Jung offers a simple but profound first step. Notice your reactions. Who do you hate irrationally? What makes you intensely uncomfortable? What traits in others trigger you? Then ask, what part of me am I seeing in them? The shadow always shows itself. You just have to be willing to look. Dreams, triggers, irritations, obsessions. These are clues. Don't fight them. Don't shame them. Listen to them. They're trying to tell you something. Let me leave you with this image. A traveler descends into a cave. It's pitch black, silent, cold. He walks for hours, unsure if he'll ever return. But deep in the cave, he finds a mirror. And in that mirror, he sees not a monster, not a demon. He sees himself, tired, wounded, but alive. And for the first time, he smiles, because now he knows he is not just the dreamer. He is the one who wakes.